Now we're going to talk about hedonic adaptation. Maybe you have heard the term hedonic happiness or hedonic adaptation. This is where the saying, "no whining on the yacht," must have come from, because humans can get used to living a higher quality of life and stop savoring it and appreciating it. Research tells us that a challenge to lasting happiness can be our great human capacity for adaptation. We can get used to or take for granted things that once gave us pleasure. Before long, the positive effect wears off. Professor Emiliana Simon-Thomas takes this concept even further. She says, though hedonic adaptation is real, we fail to predict how much and how quickly we adapt to positive and negative circumstances. This is called the impact bias. People are poor judges of what will make us happy or unhappy in the future. Our effective forecasting is off. We fear breakups, though people bounce back. We pursue wealth when, after a certain amount, having more wealth doesn't give us a happiness boost. We buy things when material purchases actually can decrease our satisfaction. I've linked an article from Very Well magazine that explains this with some interesting examples. You have probably heard that people who win the lottery tend to return roughly to their original levels of happiness after an initial influx of joy. At the wellness resort Canyon Ranch, you can order dessert, but it's tiny. Just a bite or two, maybe 3. What I've learned from that tiny dessert is that the first bite of something delicious is much more pleasurable than the 3rd bite or the 10th bite. As we get used to the pleasure, we stop savoring and appreciating it. So does this mean that we should give up our daily pleasures? No. In fact, be sure your life contains pleasures. Plan for them. Make sure your day includes them. Get the caramel macchiato. Watch the kitten video. Call your friend for a quick laugh. Pleasures can temporarily lift your mood, but we get used to them relatively quickly. One thing you can do is temporarily give things up and abstain from the pleasurable activity for a week or so in order to heighten your appreciation of it. The idea is not to take our pleasures for granted and to savor them. If you give something up temporarily and then come back to it later, you increase your ability to take pleasure in it and to savor it. We often believe that more is better, but research suggests that some degree of restraint or scarcity is actually beneficial for appreciating a pleasure more fully. Someone who gives up chocolate for a week savors it more and actually feels more pleasure and positivity when they have chocolate again after they abstain. So hedonic adaptation can actually erode happiness because we get accustomed to good things and start complaining even though we're on the yacht. Whatever your favorite pleasures are, fresh flowers, drinking tea, listening to a favorite song, definitely include them in your life. But you may want to become more mindful of them and not take them for granted. One little mental gratitude game I play with myself is to say that whatever I really notice and appreciate today, I get to experience again in the future. The noticing and the savoring is my ticket for future pleasure. And that helps me stop and really appreciate the yoga pose, the breeze, the cup of coffee. And while we're on the subject of adaptation, interestingly, we can also become habituated to things in life that are the opposite of pleasurable. If you look at someone who has had a major accident and, for example, loses the use of their legs, that change in ability can be devastating at first, but people generally tend to return to their pre-accident levels of happiness after the habituation period. There's another unique thing that researchers noted that is important for the purposes of our course, and that is that gratifications, instead of pleasures, can be much more long-lasting in terms of bringing positive emotions like happiness and joy. Martin Seligman says that gratifications are activities that get us into that feeling of a flow state where we don't notice the passage of time, where we're thoroughly engaged in what we're doing, and we get sort of lost in the activity, like making art. The effect occurs most easily when we face a challenge that's both fun and the right kind of mental challenge for our abilities. Not too difficult, so that we don't feel too discouraged, but just difficult enough to keep us feeling challenged. Gratifications, as well as activities that present a strong sense of meaning to us, are more immune to the impact of hedonic adaptation. Interestingly, the more we engage in gratifications, the more we enjoy them. These gratification activities require a little more effort and thought, but the payoff is higher as well. The more we engage, the more we enjoy. So gratifications include activities that are often thought of as hobbies, like creating art, learning a skill like karate, even engaging in an activity like meditation. Most, if not all, gratifications can be great stress relievers. So go to your art journal and make some notes. What are some of the pleasures in your life? Coffee, chocolate, wine? Nothing wrong with a little pleasure. They bring a quick lift in your mood without a great deal of effort. This mood boost is actually quite valuable because there is significant research that shows that a lift in your mood can lead to a chain reaction of positive feelings and increased resilience. Gratifications, as I said, take a bit more effort, so if you only have a few minutes, you might opt for a pleasure. Even if you might benefit more from the gratification of, say, painting, you have to take some time to plan for that. The key message is that there is plenty of room in your life for both pleasure and gratification in the third of life. Just savor them and don't take them for granted.